welcome to session 3 of the Happimind programme, and this evening we are exploring unleashing your creative genius, which is basically how can you create the life that you love, and potentially in a little bit of a different way than before. So yeah, that's what we're going to be doing. Let me know if this light is okay. I'm very conscious that the window behind me is very, I feel like I've got a halo.
No, you're fine.
Like an angel.
You've got a halo, so you're fine.
My mother would be so proud. Yeah, so we're going to have a few activities. We're going to be taking on some of the stuff that we've been doing in the last couple of sessions, and really it's just a bit of an open forum to kind of start making things happen, because it's wonderful pressing pause and reflecting, but to really make a difference we need to get clear on what we want and then start taking the action on that. So this is a kind of mid step. So we've been laying bits of the foundation in terms of kind of self-awareness and kind of changing little habits, and this session is about kind of clarifying what you would like to be doing. What do you want to be changing? What do you want to be nurturing? What do you want to be growing? And once you've done that, then the next session we have got making good things happen. So that's all about decluttering and taking action in a playful way, which is really a strengths-based approach. And then we've got our last session, which is all about energy and emotions, and that's when we're getting a bit of yoga to just wrap up the session, which will be good.
Okay.
So before we go on, let's have a little bit of a warm-up, and because we're kind of embracing our creativity today, I want to check in with you how you're feeling right now and how you want to feel by the end of this session. And how I would love to do that is by asking you about your Mr. Man type.
About my what?
Mr. Man. You know, Mr. Men, the little cartoons.
Okay.
So what Mr. Man represents how you're feeling right now, and what Mr. Man would you like to represent you? What Mr. Man would you like to embrace for the life that you're going to create? Now, it might be helpful if I give you a bit of a clue, a bit of a reminder as to who the Mr. Men are. Because it might have been a while. What was that?
You're going to make one up.
You absolutely can make one up. Absolutely. And bearing in mind, the slide that I'm going to show you is really just Mr. Men, but then they created Little Miss as well. So because the whole idea of creating a life that we love, it's all about creativity. Genuinely, if one doesn't fit you, you know, think of that emotion, think of the way that you're feeling right now, and add a Mr. or a Miss before that, and then that's you. But I want to give you this little slide, so let me share my screen. Share my screen. Share. Are we sharing? Are we sharing? Share we? So here we go. Let's get this. So, oh my word, that's a bit on the blurry side, isn't it? So we have got Mr. Tickle, Mr. Greedy, Mr. Nosy, Sneezy, Mr. Jelly. So you have a wee look there and just think, what one represents where you're at right now? And once you've got that one, think about how you want to be by the end of this session, how you want to be feeling. What Mr. Man do you want to be channeling that's going to help you make good things happen? Oh, I know who I am just now. So I've got my 2. Have you guys got your 2?
I've got.
Yeah?
Uh-huh.
Yay! Diane and Lockie, how are you getting on? Have you picked your 2?
Yeah.
Yay!
Mm-hmm.
Diane, are you good? Yeah?
I've got one. Go on, know that now. I'll make one up. It's okay.
Right, wonderful, wonderful. Cool. So, what I would like you to do is just share the one that represents you now and why, and then share the one that you want to have. So for me, my number 1 is Mr. Bump, because it's been one of those weeks I crashed into my neighbour's car. Not good. And my dog ran into a wheelbarrow and bashed her eye, and it was all bloody and bruised and stuff. So it's not, you know, in terms of bumps, it's been one of those weeks. So that's, yeah, I think Mr. Bump is good for me right now. And who I want to be like is Mr. Tall, and Mr. Tall can help springboard and just step over any obstacles that come in my way, because he's so blooming tall, nothing is an issue.
Well, that sounds a good one.
Isn't it? So what about you? Who would like to go next?
Well, I've Mr. Lazy, because I've done nothing today, and I've got so many things that I need to, to really, and I've been Mr. Grumpy at the same time. But I'm trying to see where I want to be. I want to bounce back, Mr. Bounce. I think. I mean, I just feel very, as I say, Mr. Lazy, particularly today.
And Mr. Bounce would help you just.
Mr. Bump.
You're Mr. Bump as well?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Mr. Lazy, I mean, who comes after Mr. Lazy? I think maybe Mr. Mischief. I wouldn't mind being Mr. Mischief.
There we go. There we go. That's good. And what about you, Lockie?
Right now, I'd say I'm probably Mr. Busy, I'd say.
Uh-huh.
Because I've been doing a lot of stuff today. And the one that would be good to be later on would probably be Mr. Perfect.
Oh.
There we go. Love it, love it. And how would Mr. Perfect help you?
I don't know, just like if things were, it's like everything could be sorted for me, so enjoyable for me, I think.
Yeah, so if everything was just so, it would be a bit easier.
Yeah, that's right.
Super, super. Thank you. And Diane, what about you?
At the moment, I think I'm Mr. Daydream, because I'm finding waiting for lockdown to finish as hard, if not worse, than actually being in lockdown. At least you knew you couldn't do anything. Now there's all these things I might be able to do, and I just can't wait. And I'd like to be Mr. Busy, because nearly 4 months of being stuck with myself, my head and reflection and stuff has just been a little bit too long, and I need to get out there and start doing things now. So that's how I feel.
Good. Thank you for that. Now, what I want you to do is, with the Mr. Man that you want to be, just hold on to that, because that's the first step in getting clear as to what you actually want. And it's a great indication of the fact that, whether we think it or not, every single one of us is a creative genius, because you've got little nuggets of how you're feeling now and what you're wanting to make happen through the picture of a Mr. Man. Which, you know, it's a cartoon character, but looking at it and just asking yourself that question is enough to help you kind of free up your juices and start thinking about what you actually want. And that's all that's required when we're talking about creating a life that we really want to have happen. So often we put obstacles in our way, and we think we need other information to help us, guide us and give us the cues that we need, when actually There's inspiration everywhere. So you've got that access to those feelings that you've got there through a Mr. Man. So imagine all the other things that are around you that you can use. Let's stop that share. So we have got 4 of us. So I will join in. I'll join in rather than me just being a bit of an organiser. So what I would love to do is break us into pairs and ask your partner, and just really be that listening space for your partner and ask them, what do you actually need to create a life that you love? So it's not what do you want to have happen, what do you want to create, but ask, what do you need? What do people need? What do you need for you to create the life that you really, really love? So does that make sense to everybody? Yeah? Yeah? So this is just an exploration as to, well, what are the things? So like thinking about Mr. Perfect, what does Mr. Perfect need for life to be good? What are the things that we're telling ourselves that we need to have to make the things that we really want to have happen? Yeah? So we'll just spend a wee 5 minutes doing that. In this little pause here while the guys are out in the breakout rooms, you might want to pause this video and give yourself an opportunity to think about the life that you want to create and what are the things that you need to make this happen. So my invitation to you is just to think that over, write down a few things, and once your creative juices are flowing, then press play again and come on back and join us. Hello, hello.
Oh, back again.
You're back. How did you get on? What did you come up with?
Well, I think both of us, more or less, we need to sort of just talk to the person that's going to help us on the next stage of the journey. It's up to Lucky to tell you what he feels is interesting.
Yeah. Lockie,
Mm-hmm.
What did you come up with?
Well, kind of things like that I want to like learn lots of new things and then like master them by like asking for help so I can learn to do them myself.
Yeah. Love that.
Mm-hmm.
And it has context to do that, so you can ask for that help.
Uh-huh.
I'm a big believer that the easiest way to get what we want in life is to ask.
That's what I said. You don't get anything unless you ask.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And then the next important thing is to be open to receive that help.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often we ask, or so often people are around us ready and willing to help us, and we're the block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's so common.
Mm-hmm.
So what did you come up with, Muriel?
I've got so much that I want to do, and I'm waiting on my son helping me. I want to do a blog, and I want to get a Life Journeys website up, and I'm waiting on my son. I've got all the materials to do what I've got to do, and I'm like an intergenerational thing, and I want to get this blog out. Life Journeys are the books that I've written, and I'm just not getting fast enough. Because my son is supposed to be helping me, and I'm just not getting it. When I want something, I want it, and I want it now.
Yeah.
And I want it, and I can't wait till somebody else does it for me. And I can't do it. At least I don't think I can do it myself.
So what is it you're wanting to create? Sorry, that's coming on to the next bit.
My life started at 55.
Uh-huh.
I went on a totally new life journey, and it's a lot of people when they get to a certain stage of their life think that's the end. It's not. It's the beginning of a really exciting journey. of learning things about yourself and doing things you never thought you could do. I mean, I travelled from one end of the world to the other just on my own. I don't know. At the moment, I'm a little bubble. I don't need to do that anymore. But I'd like to feel that if somebody else needed encouragement, I could give it to them.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So for you, what's coming up in terms of what is needed for you to create a life that you love is that technical support?
What I've got, that's one thing I've been very happy with Zoom. It's opened up a whole new world to me.
Yeah.
But I just need to get this blog somehow put together.
So for you, it's a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of a skill gap there. And the knowledge as to, well, I don't know how to do it. So I don't know what to do and I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
But I know what I want once I've got
it's there.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. And well, I'm asking you, but we were together, so I know what you said, but for Lockie and Muriel to hear, what were we talking about?
Yeah, I identified that I want to be busy, so I want to, it's the opportunities that I want to follow, and I've got to identify which are the right ones for me, because just getting a list of things that I could be doing isn't particularly making me do them, so I've got to find out the right things, and then I'll be happier to do them and fill my day and a bit more.
Yeah. So having those opportunities, spotting those opportunities, and also knowing that they're the right opportunities, just having that feeling of knowing. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what I would love to do now is, and you all kind of touched on it, which is wonderful. So when we're kind of unleashing our creative genius to make good things happen, you're all going to be familiar with goals.
Yeah.
And how familiar are you with intentions?
Well, yeah.
So what's the difference?
I don't want to answer all of it. Well, I know what my ultimate intention is to get the process to get towards my goal. I don't know if that makes sense. I know what my goal is. I want to put together a web page. I want to do something that generates some interest, but that's my intention. Is that the right thing?
So what's the difference? So if you take a wee step back, and we're not personalising it, and unless you want to use that obviously as an example, but just what is the difference between an intention and a goal?
I guess an intention, I was going to say an intention is the process, like Muriel said, it's the way you're going to get there. The goal is actually achieving, is the end, achieving what you want to do. But the intention is your process, your, I don't want to say journey, but
It's desire.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is it desire, your desire?
Well, for me, and what I'm kind of angling at here, I'm curious, before I go on, I'm curious, Lockie, what about you? What do you think about the difference between an intention and a goal?
Goals, like, well, a goal to me would be kind of like something that you really want to do and you're really committed to get it done and stuff. Yes.
And what about an intention?
Intention, I'm not sure. That's kind of like what you want to do, I guess.
Yeah. So for me, the real difference is inside and outside. So an intention is within. So it's that desire, it's that thought about the process, the whole, this is what I want to do. Like you were saying, Diane, in the room, around that knowing that it's the right thing. And then the goal is that external. So that's the thing out there. So there's a tangible thing that I'll either achieve or I'll not achieve. But the intention, So for me, for you, Muriel, and what you're describing, your intention is to bring your life experience to other people so that if they feel stuck or they feel that life, you know, I'm too old to do this, they know that that's not true because you've shared your experience. So that's the intention.
Okay.
And then the goal is to have a website where people actually go and read it. So that would, and that's a measurable thing because
Yes.
people can see the website, and if you install it with Google Analytics or whatever and you're getting feedback and people are commenting, then you know fine well that people are reading it and they're benefiting. Does that make sense?
Oh, that's super, yeah. And it's getting going. It's having, I've got the intention, I've got the passion, but I've not got, I need a kick up the butt to get it going, or my son.
Yeah. Different people have got different recipes. So a lot of people are kind of put off by goals because they just don't know what they want. And like Lottie's saying, a goal is like when you're really clear and committed, and this specific thing is the thing that I'm going to go for. And that can be really off-putting to lots of people who, they know what they want. Apologies for the dogs. They know what they want in terms of that intention. So you've got that feeling, right, okay, I want to be busy. I want to be happy. I want to be around particular people. So you've got the kind of those feelings inside. But how you can translate that into an external thing, what does that look like? How will you know? That bit's a little bit fuzzier. So for some people, find the clarity bit really tough to find. And because they can't find the clarity and they can't create a tangible goal, then it's very easy to get a little bit demotivated and get stuck in the story of, I don't know what I want. When actually, it's just a bit of a misunderstanding that you already know what you want because you've got that intention, which is, you know, that busyness, the happiness, the fulfillment, the, you know, how you want to show up in the world. That's already there. And that's all we need. So we don't need always both of them, but having that balance. So a goal kind of pulls us out and gives us that kind of drive, right, okay, well, I know what direction I'm going in. But a goal, just set for a goal, like we were again talking in the room, Diane, when you've just written a list, that's a goal. I need to do this, and this. But without the intention, what's the driver behind this? What's this going to get me? Does it feel good? Does it feel aligned? All of that. It's just a list of goals. So what's the point in having a goal without an intention? And having an intention without a goal, you can just get stuck in your feelings to go, well, I know what I want, but I don't know which direction I'm going. I don't know how to take action. So when you're hearing that, where are you? Are you more of a goal person and the missing ingredient could be a little bit of intention? Are you more of an intention person and the clarity of a goal is a bit missing? Or actually, have you got it? Do you feel that you're in that lovely place where you're that balance between intention and goal?
I'm coming back to the wheel of life that you spoke about last week. And I mean, there's other areas in that. I mean, for example, from a health point of view, have I got the capacity health-wise to focus and carry on doing what needs to be done? Yeah, because it doesn't, the wheel of life, your intentions are part of this wheel of life. Isn't that correct?
Yeah. And thank you for linking that so beautifully in there, because our balance of intention and goals can change on the aspect of our life. So when you might be absolutely clear on what you want, with different aspects, but you might not have the real knowing, the real drive and intention there yet. And equally, it might be the polar opposite, that you might have the feeling like, I know what it'd be like to be a 10, and that would be, you know, I would feel like this and it would be wonderful, but actually the tangible steps to get there, no clue. So you can be totally rocking and have all of the gorgeous balance in one aspect, and then it can dribble out your ear in the next. And that's perfectly normal. So
a lot of people, I think we take a lot of people sometimes trip us up on with our intention, what you're thinking about. And I mean, that's another area of, if you know what you want and you've got to you want to stick with that goal, but there's maybe somebody in the way that's be a relationship or someone says, what are you playing? Why do you want to do that? And for a youngster in particular, you know, you've got ideas about what your career will be, and your parents say, no, that's not my intention for you. Now, maybe I'm going off the track, but that's something that is also other people, especially if you're younger, have the intention of saying, no, that's not my intention for you, even though that is how you feel about what you want to do.
Absolutely. And it's not just parental influence.
Relationships, yeah.
Yeah. And that's where having an intention can feel really it can be quite a nice feeling, quite a secure feeling, like I know what I want.
Yes.
And when we express it into the world in form of a goal, like this is what I'm doing, then you're putting it out there for other people to judge, and then they can start to mold it and they can start to influence it. And if you're not really, really sure in your intention, then that can, you know, it can change your trajectory. And
sorry, I'm interrupting. I find that people have, when I've had these intentions, I've actually found that people have come across my path and helped me on to the next stage. Sorry, I'm doing too much talking.
No, you're not. You're not at all. It's all useful.
No, I find that when I've had an idea, like when I started to write, somebody came up into my life that helped me on to that next stage. And I've found this on quite a number of occasions when I've had an intention, be it, never knew the goal. I actually had somebody came across my path that actually not quite took me by the hand, but said, okay, yeah, I know about that. And they've taken me on to that next point. When you put out your intentions, I think things happen.
Exactly. And you don't need to necessarily say those intentions out loud. You just need to be really committed in that intention and know. And energetically, you know, you're putting it out there into the world, and wonderful things do happen off the back of that. It's back to that whole, you know, the brain thing that we were talking about in session 1, that when we have set an intention that feels really good to us, then we're in a resourceful state because we know what we're doing. We're not overthinking. We've not got a story in our head about, you know, all the reasons why this can't happen. We know what we're doing. We know how we want to show up. So our guard dog isn't barking away, which means that gorgeous little bit at the back, our reticular activation system, is primed and spotted. So our intention has told this little bit of brain to say, oh, hiya Diane, could you look for these opportunities? And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 you're going to see more of those opportunities.
That's right.
But without that intention starting inside to begin with, you're not calming your brain down. So you're not setting this. So when we set a goal, write a list of all the things that I should do, then you're not quieting your brain because your guard dog's like that. Hold on a minute, that's not that important to you. So you're not spotting the opportunities because you've not come back in and kind of calmed down. Life might not be easy, but it's 100% very simple. And that's why it's really important to have things like this where we press pause and just remind ourselves that life is a lot simpler. And the power of intention, huge, absolutely huge.
Yeah, it gives you energy as well. That's where it comes from, because you've got energy, because you're passionate about something and you get excited about it and you want to do it. And the energy that comes with it, not to be disheartened, but to know I'm going to keep on keeping on. And if you know if it's not right, then it'll just collapse. But I think when you've got a passion for something and you've got the energy to go for it, you know, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm talking too much.
And again, passion and energy, same thing. Yeah,
passion.
Passion is energy. Fire is energy.
That's
you know,
right.
You can't have passion without energy. What I would love you to do now is reflect back on your Wheel of Life from last week and pick one aspect of your life. You might be clear already as to an area that you really want to grow and nurture. Thinking of that aspect and what we're talking about, goals and intentions. What is your intention with that aspect?
I was just looking at the Wheel of Life.
Yeah. And with the Wheel of Life, you can reduce it. So, Muriel, for you, if you want to work on your project, absolutely fine. And anybody, if you've got a project in mind that's specific, then, you know, feel free to do that. So, for example, for me and the way that I understand what you've shared, Muriel, your project would be coming under, for me, work and community. Yes. They're my kind of aspects in my wheel. So for you, it might be something different. Again, it's really important to trust the words and your own model of your life rather than other people's. So it might be more appropriate to pick a project because that kind of comes over both aspects, rather than get flummoxed with, I'm going to focus on work or community or well-being. So write out your intention. What do you really want to happen, just broadly speaking? How do you want to feel? What purpose is it serving?
Surprising what's coming out of this pen.
Once you pop, you just can't stop. And once you've written out your intention, think about your goal or a goal within that. Because when we've got an intention, think of it as the sunshine and the kind of rays coming out of you. You can have multiple goals. And think about just one of those goals that you're ready to commit to. And it can be teeny tiny. It doesn't have to be big. And a goal is something external, tangible, that you'll know and somebody else will be able to know too. And when you look at that goal now, there's 3 types of support. There's informational support. So it might be something that you don't know, so a knowledge gap there. There's practical support, when you would need somebody to do something with you or for you, like we're moving house, I cannot pick up the sofa alone. And there's emotional support, so you just need somebody to talk out loud to hear you, to see you. So thinking of those 3 types of support, what do you need?
What was the other information and support? Was the other one? The third one?
Informational, practical, and emotional.
Right. Okay. Okay.
And they can intertwine together. So for example, with your website, it can be a knowledge gap. I don't know how to do it. So what I need is somebody to show me how to do it if you want to learn how to do it, and so you can be in control of it. And you need somebody to support you as you go through that learning journey. So you need that emotional support to take you through that, rather than just somebody showing you.
No, I know what I want.
Yeah. Wonderful. Would anybody care to share what they've got there, what their intention is and what their goal is? And it's okay if you don't want to.
I don't want to.
I went back to the wheel, and we spoke about I didn't know what to do with the word purpose.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up changing it to meaning, and that fits in a lot better with what we're talking about, for me anyway, what we're talking about this week.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Oh no, I'm just agreeing with you. Sorry.
So my intention is that it might be a bit broad, but it's my days meaningfully for me spent. So my goal would be to join a social group involved in a meaningful activity, so that I could take part, I could have interaction.
Yeah.
Because that's the sort of thing I think would benefit me the most, rather than my doing something on my own. I think I'd get more out of that kind of an arrangement. But I would need practical help, obviously, because that sort of thing isn't happening at the moment, so I would need a group to join.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And what could you do right now that's within your control now to take the first tiny little step towards that?
I could research what's available, or what was available. I suppose I could find out what's in my area, what's available, see if I can identify those, something that would mean something to me out of those.
Brilliant. And when would be a good time to do that?
Now. Right after this meeting.
Yay! And how does that feel?
It's better having, clarity, like you said, and a way to go, basically.
And then life unfolds, because we take one step and then it's a snowball. And then it opens up another door and we go through that, and on it goes. It's all the first few steps. What about you, Lockie? Would you care to share? It's okay if you would rather not.
Can't really think of much, to be honest.
Sorry, what was that?
I said I couldn't really think of that much, to be honest.
Oh, could you not? Oh,
Not
sorry.
right now. That's okay.
Well, if there's do know that I'm in the Facebook group, so feel free to message me. Feel free to, put anything up, because
Oh, well.
it's wonderful for you to have that sense of aspect of your life that you want to grow, and you've got that clarity there. And what about your lovely self, Muriel?
Gosh, well, I started on my journey again. My intention, I think, is to write articles. I did this before, to write articles for a magazine, and I have a blog and webpage in support of that. But I'd have to, I'll have to find a mag. I used to write for a magazine, but I would need support from, again, to reach my goal is to have assistance with the actual webpage. But I haven't. I've had an intention to write for a magazine, and I've not done anything about it. And I'd love to write articles again. And that's one of the intentions that's come up as we've been talking tonight, to just write again. I stopped. I've just not carried on. And I don't know whether I'm on another little journey, but the passion of writing, the practice, that's my intention as a thought. If that's my thought, I'd like to write.
And what's the first tiniest step you can take towards to kind of bring that out of you?
I've got so much material that I've actually got, and it's a question of just submitting it, finding them. That's what I'm saying here. I have to find a magazine that I can actually submit it to. You know, I wrote for a magazine in South Africa for the experienced generation, and I don't know, maybe in Scotland it's not the same culture of what I experienced when I was in South Africa. But people are retiring, well, maybe later or earlier. It's more of this encouraging people to be part of a process.
What's the tiniest little thing that you can do, that you can tangibly do to help you find a magazine or places that might be interested in your written work?
I saw a magazine called Mislexia. It's a magazine that takes articles from women. It's women's articles, and it's an age range. So that would be I could write even what's it, people's friend, put poem into the people's friend. I've invested over the years a heck of a lot of money in myself and achieved nothing financially. I've got 2 books on Amazon, but I will never. I would like to feel it'd be nothing just to get a little bit of money. That'd be the goal, I suppose, to get some money back.
Yeah.
I've worked hard on.
Okay. So what I was hearing there in terms of that tiny little step to just, again, start building the momentum is to reach out to at least one, or the very first step is reach out to one of those magazine places.
Well, that's what I've said. I've said my goal was to find a magazine and just start.
So when are you going to do that?
I can do that this week. It might give me a reason to get up in the morning and do something.
Yay!
There's no point. I mean, there's nothing stopping me. It's just doing.
Muriel, you are just wonderful at segues, because that's what we're doing.
Oh, I'm full of nonsense.
So thank you guys for coming along to this one. So creating a life we love is really that gorgeous balance of intention and goal setting. And when we get lost and we kind of feel that we're not clear, then don't get into that storytelling as to, I don't know what I want or anything, or this will never happen to me, and all those other gorgeous things that we tell ourselves. And get back into the feeling, get back inside.
Yeah.
What is it that's important to me? What gives my life meaning? What's my intention here? Because when we've got the intention, then often we don't need the goal to begin with. It's nice to have the goal for that direction, But as Muriel beautifully said, the universe takes care of itself and things open up. And then you open that door, you go through that door.
That's right.
When we keep an open mind, then the goal will happen. Things will unfold, and that fog will lift.
That's right.
And before we know it, we have got that clarity. But that clarity isn't going to come when we're sitting at home thinking, I don't know, I don't know.
Just got to do it.
Yeah, or do something. No, have that intention of, I want to live a happy and fulfilling life. And for, like you were saying, Diane, that when you were at your best, you were out and you were doing all of these different things. So that knowing and tapping into that and feeling into that on a regular occasion will be enough to kind of get you excited, such that things will happen and those doors will start opening. And then all our job is to open the door and go through it.
Keep on keeping on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. So next week we are on decluttering and doing it the playful way. So the next week's session, where it's a bit more of an extension on this week. So my invitation to you, Lockie, is just sometimes these workshops can be a little bit full on when you've not really got an idea yet, and it can be quite hard to think on your feet. So what I would love to invite you to do is just mull this over and reflect on it. And you were really clear at the beginning with your Mr. Men as to, so you had your Mr. Perfect. So when you think about Mr. Perfect, what would you like Mr. Perfect to create? When you look at your wheel of life, what aspect of your life would you like Mr. Perfect to show up in? And what would you like him to help you?
Okay.
And then we can hook into that next week. Is that okay?
Yeah. See you guys later.
Yeah. Take care, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Precious. Bye-bye.
Have a lovely week, guys. See you later.
Bye. Bye.